Hello, everyone, and welcome to the July 2021 installment of the How to Leverage the NRMN Network webinar series. My name is Gabrielle Sala, and I'm a digital communications strategist for the National Research Mentoring Network. Just so you all know, this webinar is being recorded and will be later posted to NRMN's YouTube channel. We will leave time for a Q&A session at the end, so please put any questions you may have into the chat and we'll make sure to address those at the end. A little bit of background of the National Research Mentoring Network. We are a National Institutes of Health grant-funded initiative whose entire purpose is to diversify the STEM workforce. NRMN started in 2014, and we have amassed over 19,000 members since the inception. So let's go over a couple of announcements. First off, we're excited to announce that our new digital communications strategist, Johnny Garza, is on this webinar. We're so excited to have Johnny on board, and he'll be coordinating NRMN's marketing and communication strategies. And Johnny will be hosting next month's webinar as well. Next up, we'll be hosting a webinar with the NIH Common Fund High Risk, High Reward program as part of our Career Development webinar series. Now, this is an opportunity for you to speak with NIH program officers and have your questions directly answered about the 4 funding opportunities that the HRHR program offers. And we'll be sending the link to register in the chat. And then next on August 16th, 2021, we'll be having the How to Leverage the NRMN Network webinar series. It's our next series in a row. We'll be sending the link out to register there. So look for that in the chat. We hope to see you next time as well. Now let's go over our agenda for the day. As you all may know, we recently redesigned our website. Now, all the navigation menus have remained the same. So while we browse through the resources on our website, including signing up for our newsletter and accessing our diversity funding opportunities, we'll show you how to navigate our site, nrmnnet.net, which will be placed in the chat here, link to the site. Then we'll go over our webinars and our YouTube channel. And then Katie will then be presenting features on MyNRMN, and we'll then leave room for questions. Now, let's head to nrmnet.net. So as you can see here, we have a lovely new design that we hope you enjoy. Our goal for this design is for it to clearly showcase all our resources and to make it easy to navigate. Now, before we dive into our main resource topics, let's browse through our navigation menu, which has stayed the same, as you can see. This is, of course, our homepage. And here you can navigate to the resources you need directly pertaining to your career pathway. So just to try it out, let's go see our undergraduate student resources here. We can access my mentor, MyNRMN, exploring our blog. In fact, let's head to our blog right now. About NRMN, again, just as the familiar website that you all know, just with a little redesign. Excellent. So we encourage you to take a look at our new design, just browse through all these links again, get familiar again with the same familiar menus over here, and we encourage you to just browse through them. So now let's move to our main links and resources. So heading here, again, as before, here's where you can subscribe to our NRMN newsletter. So when you subscribe to our newsletter, you'll be able to stay updated on all that's happening in the NRMN community. So as we head over to here, we will be launching our July newsletter very soon. So now is a chance to subscribe, and we will be putting the link out to the chat as well. Now heading back here, again, under news is where our diversity funding opportunities are located. And here we'll be updating any funding opportunities that we hear of, so keep checking this page to discover more, or if you have any opportunities you'd like us to post, please contact us and let us know. Again, new design, this is how it looks. Now let's head over to our YouTube channel where you can access all our webinars. Our last professional development webinar focuses on the best practices for junior investigators in writing an NIH research grant application. As you can see here, another webinar that we have is our last one, the Unconscious Bias Course webinar series. We posted our last How to Leverage the NRMN Network webinar, which we'll post it here. And we'll be posting and recording the HRHR webinar as well, posting it here if you're not able to attend that. So again, we encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which will be posted in the chat, just to keep updated on all our webinars. Now, I'll be turning it over to Katie Stinson, our virtual engagement strategist, as she'll be taking us through a deep dive on MyNRMN. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Gabrielle. And everyone, give me just a second to get my screen pulled up. All right, so you all should be able to see my screen and my view of MyNRMN. So this is our platform, our virtual community, if you will, that contains all of the resources that are exclusive to NRMN members. And so whenever you join this community, you'll have access to mentoring, networking, and career development resources. And I'm going to touch on just a few of those today. As you can see, this panel on the left has all of the different resources on here, and we definitely do not have enough time to go through all of those today. So I'm going to pick just a few and we'll go through those, but I'm also going to show you how to get started. So for anybody who is just joining the network, or if you're just you've been in here and you're a little intimidated by it, you're not really sure where to start, I recommend right here at the top, this search feature right here. This will actually give you an overview to everything in the system. So I like to start with a very broad term, and the one I typically like to use is biology, mostly because I know how to spell it, the second time. But this will give you a very broad perspective of what we have within this network and how expansive our reach is in this. So you can see just from the term of biology that we're yielding over 3,000 results. And from there, we can filter it further by member, which can be further filtered by mentor and mentee, by group, which pertains to this My Groups feature, by question, which is this Ask a Mentor feature, which I'll be going over in just a little bit, and also journal entries, which pertains to this My Journals and My NRMN journals, which also is on our agenda to go over today. Then you can also narrow it down by institution if you want to get more specific about location. You can also narrow it down to more specific interests. So this is why I recommend to start broad with your search rather than starting with narrow focuses. So this way you can always narrow it down further, and you can see there's a lot more options to pick from as well. Then you can also narrow down by location if that is your preference. So now just going through this list and seeing that there's all these blue buttons here, I want to go over what all of those are and what they do. So you can see that everybody has this Ask Me a Question next to them. And that is a way to really just help people feel comfortable reaching out before initiating that connection request. And if you are someone that absolutely feels comfortable in saying, I just want to reach out and ask for a connection, that is fine. That button is already illuminated for you. You are welcome to do that. But if that's not you, then you can start by just asking a question to somebody and saying, hey, you know what, you've got some interest that I have, I think that you would be good to be a part of my network. I think that this would be a great, great thing for both of us. But, I just have some questions about what you're doing and, want to get to know you a little bit. So this is a space where you can go and just start that conversation without directly just asking to connect with somebody. Next, I want to point out that I am a mentor in MyNRMN. And the reason I say that is because even though I'm a mentor, I am still able to click this request mentoring. This is open to everybody in the network, mentors and mentees alike. And so with this, every mentor in the system has this request mentoring button next to them. And so whenever you request mentoring from somebody, this is actually initiating one of multiple mentoring aspects that we have within this network. And I like to refer to this one as a self-structured mentoring as opposed to some of our other mentoring. So for this one, you would click request mentoring and then update your CV or resume, which we do have a CV resume builder here, or you could upload one. And then the next step is just starting that conversation and starting that request. So with this, like I said, I call it a self-structured mentoring. And with that, I like to encourage people to say that this is the mentoring that is up to you about what this is. So if you are only looking for a 15-minute flash mentoring session that, is just asking just some quick career advice or something, you can put that in here. If you are looking for this person to be your go-to mentor whenever you're working through a project, you can put that in here. You can put that request in. It really is up to the requester to determine and request what type of mentoring connection they're hoping to get out of this. So, and that is something, again, it is up to the requester. It is self-structured. So you can put this out to whoever you need and for whatever reason you need. And then it's up to the mentor to determine if that's something that they can participate in or not. Now, something else with this too is that for some of our other mentoring aspects, such as My Mentor, we recommend mentees only have one mentor at a time. However, with this request mentoring, mentors and mentees alike can have as many mentors as they need to really build up that network of mentors and network of support that is very often needed to get from one career education stage to the next. All right, so what we're going to focus on, and that's just really getting started in my NRMN. But what I really want to focus on now is going through some of what I like to call the hidden gems within my NRMN. In most of these calls and most of these webinars, we always go over the big hitters, the My Mentor, the My Groups, all of that kind of stuff. But what we really want to look at here is, or what we're really going to focus on today, excuse me, is really those things that are in here that really just add to what we have available, but that we don't often get to display in here because, they're not the big heavy hitters. So within that, I'm going to go over this Ask a Mentor feature to get started. Now, I like to refer to this one as being very similar to a Reddit feed because anybody can come in and pose a question to the entire network. And from there, anybody within the network can actually come in and respond. And you can see that this is quite utilized. This person is asking about experience at a conference and seeking tips on what to expect. And so this person, they don't know each other, they're not connected, but was able to come in and respond to this. We've also seen more questions here about, obtaining research with funding, and this person was able to reply. So this is something that whenever, especially when you're just joining the network, or if you're looking for something new that you have no idea where to start, this is the place to start. And all you do is come in and click Ask a Question, pose your question, and then it shows up on everybody's dashboard whenever they log in. And if it's something that is particularly tied to you or something that would be relevant for you, then you'll also get an email notification about it too. So you can see how this displayed here and that multiple people actually responded. So next, I want to go over this My Journals and My NRMN journals. Now these are tied together, but this My Journals is where you want to start. So I like to think about this space as a personal blog space within this network. So what you can do is whenever you go to post a new journal entry, you put a title on it, you can put any tags on it if you want it to be searchable. And then most importantly, and you can decide this even after you finish writing, is determining whether you want this to be private or public. Now, private means that you will see it, as will those that you're connected to. So it's not completely private, but it's private for just those that you are, associated with, those that you are choosing to see this. But then you could also make it public. And public means that it will actually broadcast out on this MyNRMN journals. And that way everyone in the community can see it and read it. Now, I'm going to go to this one now. And this is also too where whenever I showed you in the search function of my NRMN journals, and this is where it pulled up and it's from here. If you do make it public and it posts here, then it does become searchable within the network as well. But you can see here that some things that are being posted here are seeking mentors about kicking off for grant writing programs. I've seen people post about internships, post about abstracts that they're really excited that they got published and got accepted into conferences, goals for different things. So this is, like I said, it's your own personal blog space to put out into the world about whatever you want to publish into the world. All right, so the next one on the list is this My Publications. Now this one, I've been calling it fairly new, but actually it's now a couple years old. Time flies. But we launched this one a couple of years ago because the NIH changed its mandate for anybody who's applying to a grant needs to also sync their ORCID ID with their application. Now, for anybody who is not aware, the ORCID ID is a space that you can actually sync all your publications into one area. And you can also add in, your CV, your work history. You can add in any presentations, anything like that. Really, it's your whole work history. It's your CV, but it's just in an online format that's easily syncable with applications, with your LinkedIn, with so many other things. And it's a broad network of that. Now you can see here, I have already synced my ORCID ID. If you do not have an ORCID ID, this would actually populate and say, create my ORCID ID, and you could create it from there. The ORCID ID is completely free, and this would just help you create it and get that step started. However, if you do not want to start your ORCID ID yet, if you're not interested in syncing that up with your profile, or if you just don't have any publications yet, it's really up to you. But you also are able to download any publications from Pubmed. So I will do that now and you'll see how quick it happens. So from here, we can see that a new publication was added. Now, unfortunately, this one is not me. I am not Stinson J, excuse me. And I unfortunately did not contribute to this article, but it populated based on last name. Now, if you sometimes go by other names whenever you're getting published, maybe sometimes instead of it being Katie Stinson, it would be K Stinson. So you can add in other alias to do that search in PubMed as well. So this will pull all the articles and manuscripts that have been published associated with your name. And for anyone that doesn't populate or that isn't actually you can simply just delete it out. All right, so the next one on the list, now I will fully admit I don't give this one as much love as it deserves, but it is truly a great space and just something that is so needed. So this is your own file repository. Now, all of our computers always get overloaded with tons of different graphics, with different manuscripts, with just a plethora of information. And sometimes you just need a quick space to put that, and even where you want to share it with other people. And this is a great place where you can just drag and drop your files. At this time, we do not have a limit on your space that you can utilize. So you can actually drag and drop files in here. And this is really great, especially if you're collaborating with people, because whenever you share something, whenever you add something here, you can also select who to share it with. And anyone that you're connected with is available to have it shared. So you can see here all the different people that I can share it with based on the number of my connections. And so that also means too, so for example, with this specific group, this person actually shared this document with me. And it was so that I could help them create their group and so that I could help them upload documents into places for their particular group for utilization. So if you are creating a group in the system, you are absolutely able to share documents back and forth with the owners of the group. And from there, actually go through and determine what's going to be created in there and how it's going to be utilized, and then upload the official final documents into your group. So there's lots of different ways to utilize this. And it's one, like I said, that doesn't get the love it deserves, but it's absolutely here for whatever you need to use it for uploading these files and actually saving them in a place where you'll be able to get to them later. Within that too, any files that you upload in here will also be shared with those with whom you're connected. So it's a great place also to share resources as well. All right, and then next I want to go into the My Calendar. So this is also something that I find that a lot of people don't realize how broadly it can be utilized. So first and foremost, anybody in the system, if you have office hours, you can drag and drop them in there, and then you can put in your office hours here. And after you do that, whenever somebody actually clicks on your name to go to their connection with you, they will actually be able to see your office hours and request to schedule time with you. But then something else too is that you can sync this calendar with your personal calendar. So all you have to do is copy this link, paste it into a new window. Once you select return, now I've already done this, so I don't want to duplicate it. But once you click return, it'll actually prompt you with instructions to sync this with the calendar of your choosing. So I've synced it with Google Calendars and with my Outlook calendar, all to success. So definitely, if you want to sync this with your calendar, I highly recommend it. That way, any meetings that you have in here, any events that you have scheduled in here, anything going on within MyNRMN, you won't have to log into MyNRMN constantly just to double check both calendars at the beginning of every day. Instead, it'll all be in the calendar that you use most readily. So then finally, something else I want to point out in here too is the schedule a video call. Now I can access this either through here, through scheduling an event, but I'm just going to go ahead and click this button. So whenever you go in to schedule a video call, it will pop up with this. Now, if you decide halfway through that you don't want it to be a video call, instead you want it to be a face-to-face meeting, you're welcome to make that switch. But for now, I'm going to show you just what it's like to go through and schedule a video call. So you would put in the title of your event, just like you would with any other meeting, and then schedule the start and end time. Now, this is something I like to point out because to me, it just makes it easier whenever you kind of know the steps. But whenever you're adding things in here, and I'll act like I'm going to add Gabrielle on here, you want to, let's see, there you go. So you'll need to make sure that the person that you want to schedule a meeting with is someone with whom you are connected. Then you can add them in here and then make sure you click add. That's how it's going to populate them here. So if you have multiple people that you want to participate in this video call, just make sure you add them and click add individually on each one. And that way it'll just make it so much easier for you to go in and, make sure that everyone is on here. Now, the reason why we have this is because of a security feature that we have in place. So everything we do within MyNRMN is incredibly secure and is something that we hold privacy very of utmost importance with this. And whenever it comes to these calls and everything, we don't record anything. And that way you don't ever have to worry about something that's said in a call getting out and getting manipulated in another fashion. So what we also do is require that everybody who is going to participate in a call also be a member of MyNRMN. So whenever you get the video request to join this, everyone will actually receive their own unique URL. And the only way to gain access into one of these calls is to actually log into your personal MyNRMN account. So therefore, if somebody else is not added on this particular invite, they cannot be just forwarded the invite. They actually have to be specifically added into it. So that just helps it be that much more secure as you're going through this and whenever you're joining any call, and really just knowing that you're not going to have to worry about your particular call being hacked into. So then once you have everything set, you could just go in and click save, and that will actually populate and send that invitation. So sorry, Gabrielle, I'm not going to send you the invitation today, but that's all here and readily available for you if you ever want to use it. So, all right, I'm going to pause for a second and see if there are any questions. But while we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and populate another field, but I'll pause for just a minute or so. All right, I'm not seeing any questions, but I'll keep my eye on the chat just in case one comes in. But something else I want to highlight is the need to update your profile. And this we recommend doing at the end of each and every semester. And from there, it's so easy just to come in and say, okay, here's what I'm doing. Here's where I need to update. Here's, the next degree I've earned. Here's, if you're an undergraduate, you can move up to being, say, an undergraduate junior, undergraduate senior. And just make sure all this is up to date, make sure that this is current. So what we do within this profile, you can see some of these have an asterisk next to them, and that means that it is being utilized in our matching algorithm. And then others also have this little 1 next to them. And that indicates that it is being used in that matching algorithm, but that it will not be displayed whenever people search your profile. And so from there, those are the things that are being utilized in that matching algorithm. But I've talked to a lot of people that say, this matching algorithm, yeah, this is what I previously studied, but this isn't necessarily what I'm studying now, or this isn't what I want to study in the future. So what I recommend is saying, putting that into your About Me section, because this is also completely keyword searchable. And so from there, if you say you're an undergraduate and you want to go and end up doing oncological research, or I'm sorry, oncology research, but that's what you want to do. But for now, you're just majoring in biology and chemistry. So from there you can say, okay, I'm currently majoring in biology and chemistry, which is what you've indicated up here. But next you want to go to medical school and you eventually want to do oncology research, specifically in breast cancer. You can indicate that here, and then that way the matching algorithm will start recommending other mentors and mentees to you that also match with oncology and with breast cancer. So that's just one of the ways that you can utilize this About Me section and actually go through and, just make sure that you are utilizing the matching algorithm to the best of its ability. Now, one final thing I'm going to go over in the profile is that mentors have the ability to put on an out of office just like they do with their work emails. So something we acknowledge is that the mentors in the system are volunteering their time outside of their full-time positions, usually outside of their extracurriculars and other activities and organizations that they're parts of, outside of their families and personal lives. And so we know how busy people can get, and we know particularly how busy people are in these positions. And so we want to give them the option to say, you know what, I am overextended right now. I don't have the time, but I don't want to turn anybody down. I don't want to, make somebody feel as that I'm not here for them. So I'm going to put on an out of office, and that will just take me out of the running to be matched with somebody and for to have someone request mentoring from me. And so we have it set to where you can set the start date. You can also set the end date. You don't have to, though. This is optional. And that way, if you don't know when you're returning or when you're going to be available again, you can leave that open-ended. But if you do know, say you're just going on vacation, you'll be back in 2 weeks, then you can go ahead and set that date. That way you're ready to come back as soon as you get back to the office. So then also I want to point out, I mentioned that certain things are not displayed whenever you have, whenever they're not in the About Me section, and all those things that are private. So this is what it looks like whenever somebody has, their connection completely filled out. You can see that none of that personal stuff is displayed, but that I do have my full About Me section there. So anything that you want to be searchable, you are welcome to add into this About Me section. And that way it will be keyword searchable using the search feature, and will be able to be searched within able to be populated and searched within our matching algorithm. So, all right, so those are some of the, I don't want to say minor features, but some of the hidden gems and things that are available within the MyNRMN platform. So at this time, I do want to open it up for questions. So please feel free to put those into the chat if you have them, and we'll go through and answer those as they come in. If there aren't any questions, then I will definitely go ahead and actually show you this My Groups feature. This one's really popular, and it's really easy to get set up. You can see I'm a part of a lot of different groups, but it's very easy for anybody to come in and create their own group. So all you have to do is put in a name, add in a description. If you want it to be searchable, you can add in any tags, and then you can also designate your group type. And to me, this is the most important aspect of this. So you can make it public, which means that anybody can search it and anybody can join it. You can also make it completely private to where only the people that have been invited to it know it exists. You could also make it invite only, which means that it is searchable, but that people have to request or receive an invite in order to be able to join. Or you can make it announcements, which means it's very similar to a Facebook fan page where you can subscribe to it, but there's no actual interaction back and forth. Next, you can also customize your public facing page, put in any resources that you like, and then designate multiple owners of this group. So you can actually have, if you're doing this, say, for a chapter of an organization at your institution, and you happen to be the president of that chapter for this year, you can put yourself and your vice president and your secretary all as owners. But then whenever that changes out in a year from now, then you can go through and change all of those people up. So all of that is readily available to you. And let me actually show you how one of these works. So the one I always use for demos is this build group. And that's here. So within these groups, you can come in and post any sort of discussion topics. You can also post images or files, and any images or files automatically get archived to this files hyperlink to make it easily searchable later. Then if you're an owner of the group, you'll also have access to group metrics. That way you can report those out on whatever duration of basis that you need. Then you can also come in and you can see all the different owners, you can see the different members, and then if you need to go through and search through these, you're able to do that as well. Now you can see that this was populated all by the same person going through and doing this because we use this as a demo environment, but these definitely get a lot more robust as people engage in them. Also, every group also has access to a video call feature, or a group video call feature, I should say. However, you will notice it is in beta, and that is because it does cap out around 50 participants. So if you want to have more than 50 participants on the call, I would recommend utilizing another feature such as Zoom or Blackboard Learn or something of that nature. So, all right, I think this about wraps up what we're going to cover today within MyNRMN. You can see we didn't really have time to get through everything today, but there is so much here. And so I highly recommend logging in, clicking around, you're not going to break anything, and really just seeing what's available for you based on your interest. So I will turn it back over to Gabrielle now to close us out.
Thank you so much, Katie. It was great to learn more about the hidden features that enhance our experience on MyNRMN, including the MyNRMN journal and my publications. We really encourage you all to log into MyNRMN today so you can start using these features. Again, our next How to Leverage the NRMN Network webinar is on August 16th at 11 a.m. CST. So you can access it via the link you used to log into this webinar, as well as registering for it in the link we sent in the chat. Thank you all so much for attending this webinar and have a wonderful day.